So, here we go.
It was filled with childish frustrations and complexes which the police were searching for James Thomas, believed to...
Hello, hello.
Hi.
You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang, a show where we talk about cult film and genre film. And we're definitely talking about some genre films today.
Yes. And a cult film.
Indeed. My name is LC.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
Hi. What are we talking about today, Joseph?
We're talking. We had to DUNE it to him.
Yeah, it's too late.
It's we're talking about the weird old David Lynch DUNE and the two new
Denis
Villeneuve DUNEs. That before the third one comes out in like 5 years.
Yeah, if they make another one, it's been a little up in the air.
Oh, this one was pretty successful.
Yeah. The next one's gonna get even weirder though. We let's see. What's your history with, so we talked about before, just so the listeners know. What's your personal history with this franchise? What did you see first? What did you know about it before you first saw it? Etc.
I think I tried listening to the DUNE audiobook like in 2016, and I didn't have the attention span for it. And then the DUNE movie, can we just say the new DUNE? I don't want to say his long ass name every time.
Denis Villeneuve's DUNE.
Yeah, the new DUNE Part 1 came out during COVID, and everyone was watching that, and we watched it, and I was like, "That's interesting." And then I forgot every single plot detail, aside from the cool visuals and the cool music.
You watched it on HBO Max?
Yes, we saw it. We streamed it during COVID. And I forgot all about it. And then this new one came out. My girlfriend Avery is very, very into DUNE. She just really likes the books, and she likes the new movies. But the new one came out, and we rewatched the first one, which is when I realized that I remembered nothing about it. And then we saw the second one, I want to say like 2 days ago. And I just watched the David Lynch one from 1980 whatever,
84,
a few minutes ago with LC, and now I'm so fucking sick of DUNE.
Done with DUNE. Had enough of DUNE content.
I'm about DUNEd out, to be honest.
I hate sand.
These movies are coarse and rough,
and there's spice everywhere.
No, they're fun. They both have their merits. I think it's interesting because LC really likes the 84 DUNE, and I prefer the newer ones. Yeah. But they're literally the exact same story.
Yeah, it is one of the most interesting cases of like seeing what two different filmmakers from, and a big factor is the eras that they came out in as well.
Yeah,
like the landscape of film is so different now than it was in 1984.
Yeah.
But seeing the exact same story told from two filmmakers who are very, in my opinion, very clearly passionate about the source material.
They both love DUNE, and they have very different takes on how they should present it.
Because like we were trying to come up with some other examples of works where it's like it is literally the same story told, just executed differently. And like the best example you think of was our old boy episode. But I guess the difference there is that like
one of them cared about it and the other one doesn't at all.
Yeah, like Spike Lee and company didn't have any real wasn't really passionate about the source material.
No.
Or anything.
And that's the thing. I have zero emotional attachment to the story, as you probably could have figured out by now. So like in general, I think the story is just something that just hasn't caught my attention so much as the style and the iconography around it. Like, like the takes on like the imagery of like sandworms and the blue eyes and I don't know. That's what's interesting to me. I don't really care about like space politics. I kind of have too short of an attention span for political thrillers in general. But you know, I love sci-fi, and I think Denis Villeneuve is really, really, really good at sci-fi.
He is.
To the point where I think I like Blade Runner 2049 more than the original Blade Runner.
Same.
Yeah. which is saying something.
Considering that the original's by Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a lot of times of watching the original Blade Runner to really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've probably gone back to watch 2049 just because I enjoy that movie more.
Yeah.
I also really appreciate that movie stands by itself so well.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it helps to see the original, but you can totally watch 2049.
Yeah, it's like barely a sequel.
Yeah.
This, on the other hand, so David Lynch is a really strange choice to direct a licensed sci-fi property, but
That's who they got.
Yeah, that's who they got, and it's a very you can tell it's him. There's a lot of very specific choices that he makes, like these, like specifically in the way he directs his actors. What comes to mind is Baron Harkonnen and the rest of the Harkonnens.
I love
extremely Lynch.
I love how the Harkonnens are portrayed in this movie so much. I want to clarify for the audience, like to give people so I've read the first book, and I started reading Dune Messiah, and I'm going to resume reading it soon and reading the rest of the books. Or at least the original 6.
Yeah, the Frank ones.
Yeah, the original Frank author ones. So in the order of it was strange because like my mom like grew up knowing Dune. She like referenced Dune a lot. She likes this movie, this David Lynch film.
Yeah.
And she's wanted me to watch the BBC miniseries, which I'm going to bring up a trailer for that just to show you. I have not seen the miniseries either, and now I'm interested in some point down the line. If you're curious, we can check it out.
That came out when?
The early 2000s.
Oh my god! Does it actually like run all the way to the end?
It actually adapts the first 3 books.
Oof!
So it's the only visual adaptation of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. Which
people just really want to adapt this into a visual medium, and I think it might be like one of the most challenging properties to do so with because it's so complex.
Dune 2000.
Dune 2000.
Dune 2000 sounds like some fucking Dracula 3000 shit.
It's the sequel to Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
It's
bringing up the trailer.
It's so like complex, and there's so many weird concepts to get across to your audience without just dumping text on them. I don't even know the greatest adventure in the universe.
What the fuck? We're looking at the trailer for it. This is crazy. That's Paul. Oh shit, the eyes
this
look
looks
great.
Bad.
Princess Erlen. Oh, what is this headdress? We're looking at the trailer on YouTube for Dune.
I think this is the
series.
Worst production design of all 3
that looks
adaptations.
awful.
Yeah, this looks bad.
Oh.
Could be good. That looks like Star Wars.
Yeah.
That looks like Star Wars.
A lot of this looks... You know what? This looks very Star Wars prequels.
Yes.
Which makes sense because it was
that
coming
around
out.
The time.
Oh, and that
guy.
William Hurt. William Hurt is Leto.
Ian McNeice is Baron Harkonnen.
Oh boy,
yeah, this doesn't look very good.
He doesn't look nearly as like crazy.
It's like, but it's so.
What does Phaedra Alpha look like? Oh fuck no.
He looks like a fuck boy.
He looks like Lucas Hedges. Oh, that CG looks bad.
Yeah, it all looks bad.
Ooh, that looks video game graphics. That doesn't look terrible.
This is Patreon tier bad.
Yeah. This shit look like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Is giving Saban. Some of the desert scenes don't look awful. All the CGI looks terrible.
I don't like the way any of it looks at all. I haven't liked a single thing I've seen.
This is crazy.
I hate everything and everyone.
The worms look bad. This looks like,
Ooh,
whoa.
That looks bad.
I remember, I think I fought one of these things in like one of the PSP God of War games.
It looks like a PS2 game.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh,
this is the stuff they're showing in the trailer.
Yeah.
Frank Herbert's Dune is what it's called.
Yeah, this is the legit adaptation.
The only real one, you guys.
I'm so excited to watch that after I read the books.
No, it's such a weird thing to try to adapt to the screen. Because you have to get across like these spiritual elements and the rules of this universe and all the lore.
There's
who all these different organizations and characters are.
I remember just when this new adaptation, the Dune 2021, when it got announced.
Yeah.
This new adaptation, people just talking about how like Dune should really be a TV series like all of Game of Thrones.
No.
And I've been
if it was that, I would never watch it.
I've been super resistant to that idea for like a lot of reasons. Like mainly because like I think that like I don't know, I want movies to have something.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, like people, you could say the same thing about like Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, well, maybe it should be a TV show because it's so dense.
Yeah, but these movies, but we have 9 hours of Lord of the Rings movies.
Exactly.
It feels like we've got it covered, and that's what we're gonna have at the end of this Dune trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I don't know. I feel like we'll get into my complaints. But I think people talk about the people have said that this book is unadaptable. Like this IP is unfilmable.
Well,
like
we got 2 directors that'll prove you wrong, mister.
Yeah, but and people talking about like, oh, it's just so yes, there's like a lot of info.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the actual story of this book, like what the events that happen in it are not that complicated. There's just a lot of bonus.
It's just
info.
In order to understand anything, you need to get across all these concepts.
Yeah.
And that works best in a book where you can just straight up tell the audience.
Exactly.
But in this, it's like this might be like a hoax or something, but I could have sworn I saw like the original Dune came with like a pamphlet of lore that you needed to understand.
It'd be nice. It comes with like an intro video. Well, actually, do what Lord of the Rings did. In that, like, Lord of the Rings, the opening of it had like the first like 10 minutes was just like an intro of like there were 9 rings made across the lines, and there we go.
That's true, and that was thoroughly entertaining.
Well, because you see it all visually as it's happening.
Because Peter Jackson's a genius.
Yeah,
or he was in that for those movies and no other movies.
I feel like in the if they made another, which they're. I don't know if we'll see another adaptation of this story in our lifetime.
Of Dune?
But, yeah, but like, which I've told you, we're going to get into it, but I honestly don't think, so like, there are a lot of things I like about the new Dune movies, but there is, I definitely, and I love Denis Villeneuve, but I do think he is the wrong pick for this IP. In my brain, I'll call it Guillermo del Toro's Dune, because I want, if I had to pick somebody right now to... You
really like digging into the weirdness of it.
I do like the weirdness of it.
That's something you value really highly about this IP.
Yeah, and it's a thing where it's like... We talked about it earlier, but I'm going to reiterate it for the podcast. Denis Villeneuve, with his like other films, like Arrival is my favorite movie of his. Look at like Prisoners, Blade Runner 2049. At the end of the day, so he got to help create the stories of all of those movies. And at the end of the day, those movies, especially Arrival, just thinking about it, are pretty simple, like world-wise.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, there's kind of like a specific amount of information, you know, like Blade Runner 2049, that text opening is like, there are robot people. There are people who hunt the robot people. They're called Blade Runners. And that's really all you need to know.
Because it's basically the same thing as the original Blade Runner.
Exactly. And
the same exact text.
Arrival, we're talking to aliens, and that's all it is. And I feel like he's such an he is the definition of show don't tell.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think he works well for a complex IP like this. Like he might cut out a lot of that weirdness, but especially compared to the 84 movie, it's so efficiently told. With show don't tell, like I think his movies understand like the language of film better than the 84 movie. Because I think that classic test of like, could you watch this movie with the sound off and still be able to like follow it?
No, you couldn't. I
think that works better with Denis movies than with the 84 movie. Especially just like basic like. Like, if I was watching the Lynch movie with the sound off, I'd be like, am I in, like, Willy Wonka world? like we're looking at the Harkonnens, and it's, like, these green walls and these, like, red-haired, like, psychopaths jumping around like leprechauns and laughing at each other.
It's just this crazy, like, just cocaine-fueled...
Yeah. Meanwhile, it might be simple, but the Harkonnens in the new ones, there's no mistaking them for being the bad guys.
No, yeah, no, 100%.
Like it's a little cartoonish, but it gets the point across.
Well, and it's what's it called? Like it makes sense why the Harkonnens are like they are in the new Dune, and like Denis Villeneuve has explained like his decisions to.
I love them. I think they're super cool.
Yeah, I mean, like he has said that, like, you know, it's naturally what I think, like, you know, if you have a race of people who have literally existed on decadence and on just you know, and on just being the most pampered humans ever. They basically evolved into all being sociopaths. Yeah, all just evolved into being all, like, you know, just protected from like, they live on a planet with a black sun where they get no sunlight, so like they're not gonna have, their skin is gonna be pale and all this shit. You know, like, it totally makes sense. But just as far as, like, for me, I first off, I'm gonna try my best to not compare to the book as saying, like, whatever I think is, like, a more faithful adaptation or whatever. Yeah. Because I don't care about. Yeah, no. And I am always of the opinion that that I don't care what something was adapted from, as long as whatever we get is executed well. I agree. I think, you know, if you want it to be just like the book, then that already exists. Go read the book. Yeah, and like I take it as, like, an example I always go to is, like, the Dark Knight movies. Like, the Dark Knight movies there's a lot about Batman and about the history of Batman and about, like, what the world in the comics look like, that Christopher Nolan had to change a lot, because in his vision it wouldn't work how it is in the comics. And it's executed extremely well, and it works very well on its own, but it is very different from the source material. That's honestly that's my frustration. I think I've talked about it before with, like, the Last of Us series. It was too close. Just being like a 1-to-1 transcription of the source material. It's like, what is the point of making something like that? It's almost like you had, like, an AI do it. Like, it's like there's, like, a few changes, and some of them are significant, but most, like, I don't see the value in a simple, like, 1-to-1 transcription of a story. So, like, faithfulness to the source material has never been something that's bothered me too much about anything. Yeah, it's a thing where it's like, just in terms of, we talked about it, my tastes for, like, what I enjoy out of it, because, like, I will say, yeah, I agree with you in that Denis Villeneuve's Dune films are, like, they are more competently put together movies, for sure. Like, there's a lot, like, they're a lot more cohesive than this film. They are, I think the pacing's too slow, but at least the pacing is balanced. Yeah. Because in this movie, oh man, if you want to talk about pacing, the first, like, 2/3 of this movie you're just getting through you're just getting told so much. It is like 20 minutes of just people explaining the concepts to you. Like, every time it's like, here's Dr. Yue. Dr. Yue's wife was killed by the Harkonnens. And you can't even blame him for that, because this is such a deep novel. Like, it just kind of goes to show what an achievement it is to be able to efficiently tell this story in a visual medium. I think, I was going to say, in Guillermo del Toro's Dune, is what I would want. I think my favorite, I think Lord of the Rings really did it best as far as, like, having, how do you get across everything people need to know about this dense world? Just, like, they have that first 10 minutes that they tell you, and they tell it through visuals. They tell it, and they visually show you, like, what's important, who are the major players, who's Sauron, why is the ring important, etc. I feel like you could have like a similar thing with the first 10 minutes, and it could start with thousands of years ago there was the Machine War, and show, like, a thing of, like, the Machine War, and ever since then, like, machines haven't been doing, and that's how the Bene Gesserit started, and then here's the spice, and here's what the spice does. Just have honestly that. Like, even comparing the concepts in Lord of the Rings to the concepts in Dune, that opening thing would have to be, like, twice as long to explain, like, the Bene Gesserit, the spice, the way space travel works,
the reason Arrakis is so desired, what sandworms are, like all like what the houses are, how the Empire works, like who the Harkonnens are, who the Atreides are.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more than just like there are 9 rings, one of them is here. Like the ring, this is like it's honestly like twice as complex.
Yeah, I still feel like I don't know, just like put a QR code up on the screen, like, and then give people 10 minutes
and
to
it
watch.
links to the book.
Yeah, like I don't know, dude. Like I'm curious to see how the TV show handles all of it, just in terms of it being.
I'm not. I'm the least curious about anything in my life as I am about that show.
I was saying earlier how like I'm not a fan of like people saying like, oh, just turn it into a TV show. Like they're I don't know if they're still doing it, but they said they were gonna do a Harry Potter HBO series where like every season's one book.
Dude, a Dune TV show would be the most boring fucking thing in the world.
I mean, I understand what people are saying because people will be like, oh, well, it'll be like Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah.
And and I love Game of Thrones, but like
I'm not a fan. So that's the thing too, is like one of the reasons I'm not like I'm impartial is because like this kind of political thriller is just never something that's caught my attention.
Out of curiosity, what is it about Game of Thrones in particular that you don't like?
It's the same thing. It's just people talking politics to each other. I just don't find it interesting.
Gotcha.
So like that's what makes like literally all I can judge these movies on is the way they're presented.
But in Game of Thrones, then every 5 minutes someone fucks.
Yeah, I don't care about that either.
Yeah. I mean, that's an element of. I mean, the thing that with Game of Thrones, or at least something, I think it's a good one to bring up as far as like, at least for me, how it makes its dense world digestible I think is a big part.
Mm-hmm.
For me, at least. The characters in Game of Thrones feel very human. And I feel like they're very easy to relate to in the way, I don't know how much of the show you've seen, but it's like, when I say that, like, well, then they fuck, I think it's more along the lines of, like, the things I love about that show are, like, little moments between characters. Like, there's a character named Tormund who has a crush on Brienne of Tarth, who's, like, this lady knight, and, like, there are these, like, cute moments between them, and, like, there are, like, a lot of, like, little human, like, I love the relationships or banter between certain characters, and like that's the thing that brings me into it and makes me more open to learning about the world. And you know what? I think that for me is a big part of what gives me distance from any adaptation of Dune.
Yeah. Is that
I can't really relate to the characters at all. Like nothing about like any of
they're archetypes.
Yeah.
Like Paul doesn't really have much of a personality.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of the chosen one.
Yeah.
But it was written in 1965. Can we remember that real quick?
It is an old book, but like once again, like
this was written like 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah. Well, Lord of the Rings came out in like the fucking 30s.
That's true. Yeah. And all those characters are archetypes too.
Well, but I think if we're talking about the Lord of the Rings movies, they give those characters a lot more dimension.
That's true.
Like Gandalf's like, yes, Frodo, I brought the weed.
I think Denis Villeneuve is kind of scared of that levity, but I think that trade-off lends itself to the sense of scale you get in his movies. Honestly, the visual language he uses in Blade Runner 2049 is exactly the same as in these Dune movies. Mm-hmm. Like they are like interchangeable. Like scene starts, here's a weird piece of technology, we zoom in on it, and then people are talking while this weird technology is in the room. Meanwhile, these shots are showing how big and massive these decisions are, and like his movie compared to the Lynch movie feels so huge, and because of that, I think that leans into the characters being so like self-serious and not very like playful or even having any personality to begin with.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It feels like mythology, you know.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. The just the pure scale of it and the what's the word? The spectacle of it. Outweighs like needing.
Like this is a grand capital S story that you're watching.
Yeah, outweighs the the characters need to be human. I understand what you're saying. That
I mean, and that's not a defense for it. I would prefer if they actually had a personality, but I think that that's his interpretation of the original source material not having a lot of like personal, like, because I feel like Dune and other like political stories like it aren't about characters. They're about the things that the characters do. And like the giant stakes that hang in the balance.
Yeah. I pretty much there's a kind of checklist with movies, or like most media, but I think of it mostly with movies, where if a movie has 2 or more of these things checked off, then like I can enjoy it, so to say. And for me, it's like when I watch a movie, there are 3 aspects I'm paying attention to. Do I find the story interesting or engaging? Do I care about the characters? Like, am I invested in them as people? And am I having fun?
Yeah.
And you can, and like, regardless of anything, like, is there something that like I am enjoying that is keeping me enthralled about this movie? And for me, there isn't really, in the new Dune, it doesn't hit any of those things for me, really.
Okay. You don't have fun? You don't think it's I don't know. I have fun. I have fun in the same way I had fun watching The Creator.
Yeah, I have fun in spurs with it. I enjoy The Creator way more than the new Dunes.
Interesting. I think that the new Dunes are definitely better movies.
Probably, objectively, yeah. But at least The Creator, I'm just I'm impressed with the story behind the making of that movie, 1. And 2, as far as like, okay, this is actually a good one. As far as sci-fi concepts go, there's way more cool fucking sci-fi concepts in The Creator that I can be like, that shit is sick. Yeah. Than Dune, because we talked about how like, because this book is so old and because everything is stolen from it, every idea that is in the source material for this has been reinterpreted and done differently in other media and expanded on in other stories. And it's like I don't know, I feel like Denis Villeneuve's Dune, the things that interest me about the Dune world were the things that Denis decided not to focus on. Okay. I think because like I said, like I wanna see how the fucking Space Guild fly their ships. I want to see them folding. You don't see any of them folding space.
Nope.
It literally cuts.
It doesn't even come into the lexicon.
It literally cuts from Paul. Because I rewatched the first Dune before seeing the new one. Or I rewatched Dune 2021 before seeing Dune Part 2. It literally cuts from Paul on Caladan, watching like his family ship rise up. And it literally splits and cuts to the Space Guild ship above Arrakis. Yep. Like, whereas in David Lynch's Dune, you see them loading into the Space Guild freighter. You see the Space Guild worm guy.
Make sure to show you the weird mutant guy.
Exactly. Throw up into space and like warp space to bring the planet closer or whatever. And that shit is so fucking cool to me. And like you see the Space Guild guy go meet with the Emperor and like and just be and like when you go to Baron Harkonnen and you see in this movie, you see like the doctor's working on him and you see how he's all diseased and he's constantly just like being treated by his doctor just because he's so gross and like awful that he's just being kept alive by all these machines and like all these like strange details that really make it good sci-fi to me is what I feel like Denis for me lacked. Like I feel like his movie, he focused on the scale of it, he focused on the epicness, he focused on making this world feel realistic in the sense of like you can imagine it happening somewhere. Yeah. In a sense. Versus like the things about this source material that I like are the things that are more fantastical and more out there. Yeah. And that's just me.
I mean, I don't know. I was pretty satisfied with the sci-fi concepts in the new ones. I think that they're understated. Like it definitely would have been cool to see the Space Guild pilots.
Especially because I think Denis could have done something really cool with that.
It would have been really cool. But I agree.
I do agree with you what you're saying though.
I think the way he does sci-fi is very satisfying to me.
you would have had to split this book into 3 parts if he added that shit.
Yes.
As far as like, because he would have needed like an hour to go into
and that's
all
what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like these movies are already 3 hours long, and they already have to cut out so much from the book as is. Like, yeah, you could make a TV series, but I wouldn't watch it. Like you gotta cut something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like you got to cut whatever isn't vital to the story, and those aren't really vital to the story.
I feel like the soft spot for me with like where a proper good Dune movie should be lengthwise is like around 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
2.5 hours as far as like
that's how long this was, and the pacing was horrible.
This movie was just 2 hours.
It wasn't. No, it was like 2.5.
I'm pretty sure that David Lynch's Dune. I got the page up for 100. Oh yeah, I guess 137 minutes. So yeah, an hour and like an hour.
It's about the same length, but the first half or so is Paul on his home planet and like them getting to Arrakis and settling in, and then the murder attempt and learning all this stuff, and then the attack, and then once he gets out with the Fremen, the movie like kicks up like 5 gears and does not let off the gas until the end of the movie. And
we're just going. Like, oh, Lady Jessica's pregnant. Oh, she's the Queen Mother. Oh, he's riding the worm.
Yeah, like the first half of Dune 1984 is about the first, I want to say like the first movie. Mm-hmm. And then the second, like the last hour is the whole second movie.
Yeah, the last like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And Chani has nothing to do.
Chani is a cardboard cutout in this.
Yeah, she like literally.
Who's Zendaya in the new one.
I think she has like 2 lines, which what the fuck is so it's. Chani in this movie is...
She's here to support Paul.
She's so low on the she's the last billing on Wikipedia.
She's the Blade Runner lady.
Is it Rachel from Blade? Yeah, Rachel from Blade Runner. Yes.
Yeah.
Which that's actually funny. I wanted to mention
her.
I was looking at I was just like scrolling through Wikipedia. So apparently this movie has attempts to make a Dune film began in 1971. A lengthy process development followed throughout the 70s, during which Arthur P. Jacobs, Alejandro...
development hell for a long time.
Jodorowsky... Oh, yeah, it was. Ridley Scott tried to make a Dune movie. Now, I think that could have been cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean... I would have trusted him about as much as David Lynch. But David Lynch brings that weirdness that you're looking for.
Yeah.
He leans into it. That's like his whole thing.
Yeah, no. And I enjoy that aspect of it. And there's like... I can just, attach my... Especially just... For me, it's the performances and how I'm a big fan of Ham. Like as far as like, I love how hammy
that just makes me laugh.
I got you. Well, it's a thing where it's like when it comes to kind of serious things, like for me, most of the time it's like the goofy the better, because like okay, for you to take yourself seriously and like really like be like, no, what's happening is like truly important. You really got to knock it out of the park for me. Like it's like if you're taking yourself seriously, but I can just tell like you're not going as hard as you really need, because I think Denis Villeneuve most of the time does go as hard as he needs to. Arrival is serious as fuck, but it shows me things I've never seen before.
And I think the Harkonnens in the new ones are impressive, and I think that I don't think they take me out of it at all. I think they actually nail it with how like serious and menacing they are.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about, with the exception of Austin Butler, because I enjoyed Austin Butler in the new movie.
Yeah.
Batista and Stellan Skarsgård didn't really do much for me in Denis Dune.
Interesting.
Like as far as their world goes, it's all just like black and gray, and it makes sense.
I'd like it.
Like it makes sense in the world.
Strong artistic decision.
It makes sense in the world they develop, and I'm not saying that it's executed poorly. It just like it's very dull to me. Like if we're talking about another comparison, as far as like you can make a lot of comparisons between like Dune and Star Wars. Like the Empire, like. The Empire in Star Wars, just like when you get into the like Emperor's Chambers or like Snoke's Chambers or whatever. There's all these like big regal like, you know, signs, and like the Imperial Guard like has these like really crazy costumes, and there's like so much. There's a lot of just personality and color present, you know, with those factions, and there's like all of the stormtroopers with like you can tell like how they're ranked by like this, and like I don't know, the design is so much easier to read. I feel like there isn't a lot for me to attach myself to with the art design of the Harkonnens, and they like even their suits. I remember in the new Dune, they're the new Dune 2023, like they got these kind of like big oversized. They kind of look like if anybody's ever played Warframe, they look like the Grineer from Warframe. They just got these like big black head,
big bulbous spacesuit things.
But they're kind of so abstract and weird looking that I can barely like. There's nothing to attach to about it, you know. Like, like nothing about it to me screams iconic or memorable. It's not as memorable to me.
Well, see, let's talk about the '84 Dune then. It is memorable, but it's memorable in the same way the 1960s Batman is memorable.
Like, Adam West, Bat Shark Repellent.
Yeah, it's Riddler colors. Like if I'd say the Denis Villeneuve movies are like the Batman, and the '84 movie is like the '60s Batman series in like tone. Like the like you like Ham, but like these scenes are like they did Ham, and then David Lynch was like, okay, now do that times 2. Like they're mugging at each other, they're all sweaty and screaming about it and like dancing around shit. Like I understand that direction, but I don't know, man. If all I'm doing is laughing at the main villains, I don't know if I'm really like taking the story seriously.
That's fair. I would like to shift your Batman comparisons here.
Okay.
In where how I think about all of them. As far as like, I'd say that 80s Dune is more akin to like the Tim Burton Batman era.
Okay.
Where
maybe the Joel Schumacher.
Sure, like maybe first Schumacher, Batman Forever. Give me Val Kilmer Batman at least. As far as like you there, and then Denis Dune is like the Christopher Nolan's Dune.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't think we've got the Batman Dune yet. Because I love the Batman.
See, that's an example of a movie that never drops the serious, like, self-important act. Like, that's a movie, like, we were talking, like, that...
We haven't done a Batman episode yet.
No, yeah, we haven't done any of the Batman movies.
Superheroes.
Yeah.
Go on with what you were saying about
No, but that's...
Pattinson's.
That movie, even compared to The Dark Knight, is so intensely self-serious and brooding the whole time. So that's what I'm surprised that you like it at all.
That's funny because I think that movie is making fun of itself.
You think so?
Dude, everybody is fucking shit talking on Bruce Wayne.
Well,
and
yeah.
It's emo.
It's because it's modern and rich people aren't cool anymore.
Well, no, but for example, like, okay, I remember talking to somebody about this. You know how like he calls himself Vengeance throughout the movie, and then everyone else, and you know the Penguin and Catwoman make fun of him for that. Like, she's like, see you around, Vengeance, and Penguin's like, take it easy, Vengeance.
Yeah.
And Alfred is like, you know, giving him shit for having to come down and feed him blackberries, and like there's a lot of ironically funny moments in the Batman for me. Like even just down to like how the scene where like he escapes from the police and Gordon's like, I'm gonna help you escape. Yeah. And you see Pattin's Batman kind of like smirk, like he's just excited about like just all of this chaos that's happening. And in Pattinson's Batman there's a lot of like, what's the word, it's so gothic and it's so stylized. Like I don't know, there's a lot of moments that like I laugh at. Like there's a scene where he comes up into the light, like he comes up to see Alfred, and he like walks into the sun and he's eating blackberries and he just puts on sunglasses like in the sun. That's a funny moment to me.
Well, yeah, no, there's definitely like comedy moments, but like, you know what I mean? Like in terms of interpretations of the character, and interpretations of the IP. It's the darkest and most self-serious one.
In my opinion, I think Nolan is way more self-serious and like way more self-important with
it's
that
definitely
IP.
more self-important, but
Yeah.
I think in terms of tone, like it's nowhere near as like dour and brooding.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it. How'd I put it? Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves is the director. The Batman to me is like a 15-year-old kid who listens to too much Nirvana got to make a Batman movie.
That's Bruce Wayne at the beginning of the movie. His arc is outgrowing that. That's my interpretation. Because at the beginning he's this like revenge obsessed, like moody asshole listening to Nirvana, telling Alfred to go away because he doesn't get out of my room. And then he develops respect for for Alfred, and he develops a more nuanced view of his parents, and
it's a coming of age story.
Yeah, he's less interested in vengeance, more interested in actually helping the city. So I think it's taking the whole point of that movie is taking Batman out of that context and putting him into a more like socially conscious and a more empathetic kind of role. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
how'd we get here?
Because we were just talking about the your comparison between these Dunes is that and like the Batman, how that evolved. How do I put it? Yeah, it is a very modern take, and it is like a much more human breakdown of that character. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is like, I personally find a lot more levity in that version of the character. And I think I find the Batman to be way more fun and have more levity and be way more human in that, even down to like him just like being an insomniac and looking like he hasn't slept in days. Whereas like Christian Bale's Batman, he's always perfect.
He's an icon. Yeah,
and also he's never fucking wrong.
Those movies are probably a better analogy for these new Doom movies because everyone's an archetype. Yeah. And everyone has like a big grand speech every time they talk.
Yeah. And I will say, as far as if we're talking about just the things, I do think those movies are paced better than
the Batman.
than the new Dunes. If we're talking about
The Dark Knight is paced better than the new Dunes. Yeah, I'd say so. But they're also not based on a novel from 1965.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we have gotten my Dune.
You never will.
As far as like, I mean,
unless you make it.
down the line, we'll see. You know, Del Toro's still kind of young.
Yeah, he was gonna make The Hobbit too, but guess what?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Who did I say before who I thought would make a good? I think Alex Garland could make a good Dune. Yeah. As far as like Duncan Jones wouldn't make it. Duncan Jones would just make a like a modern version of the. Did you ever see the Warcraft movie?
No.
Directed by Duncan.
Did anybody?
I did.
Was it good?
I enjoyed it.
Compare it to Lord of the Rings.
It's not.
Lord of the Rings is 10.
Oh, 10? If we're just talking about scale?
Yeah.
Warcraft's like a 7, maybe.
Okay. I genuinely do want that info because I was thinking about watching it.
Well, here's the thing with Warcraft. It is made for fans of the games.
Okay, so if I don't know anything about Warcraft, will I still enjoy it?
It's not no.
Oh.
It's not
oh man.
It's a for the fans. It's not new people friendly.
Oh man.
I think that people
That sucks. I just wanted another fun fantasy epic.
People went to people wanted out of the Warcraft movie what I think people got out of the new Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Just like a fun adventure.
Yeah, just like a fun romp with fantasy elements and like hints of things for fans of the IP.
Yeah.
That is not what that new Warcraft. That new Warcraft is like is
a companion piece to the game.
It's a fan film.
Oh,
as far as like
that sucks. That's not how you draw new fans in.
Yeah, no, it's a weird line to draw for sure. I mean, I think there's just space for both. Like I'm trying to think of a movie or like a project recently that has been like a specifically for the fans kind of movie that was actually good. Because I don't know, you need to have balance when you are making an adaptation of something.
I guess, like, for the fans, good luck finding anything made for the fans anyway.
Yeah, true.
Most adaptations are trying to draw in a completely different audience.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm kind of sick of adaptations in general.
Yeah, no, there just needs to be new IPs. That's
yeah,
what
it's
it should
kind
be.
of, it's like you're trying so hard to adapt Dune. That we like to rival.
But doesn't
unless that was based on something.
No, The Arrival is original.
Okay.
But does it need to be adapted?
No.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I understand that a lot of people are really passionate about Dune, but it's just it's just I don't know. It's so booky. It's got so many concepts that you need to explain through text.
Yeah.
Like we end up cutting out stuff that you like. Like that's always going to happen.
Yeah. It's a thing where it's like I said, the perfect adaptation needs to come, and it's every idea that is in the book has been taken by other things and done better.
Yeah,
like Star Wars is my perfect version of Dune, I guess you could say.
Wow.
As far as like,
that's a completely different take than I had.
What's your take?
To me, Dune is like an elevated version. Like Star Wars is like the family fun version of Dune.
Yeah.
Whereas like Dune is like when you want to like sit and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Star Wars is like Dune you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
Like it's like Indiana Jones in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess it's like, I think my problem with Dune versus like other serious sci-fi is like, I don't know, there's, as far as, like I said, I think another element too is that when it comes to something serious, I guess I like serious sci-fi and fantasy that has more that like can be connected to humanity more in a way that's more relatable in a way.
Okay.
Like the same thing, like this is even removing the levity element from it. But like I want to use a different example than like with Arrival and Blade Runner. They're both of those are pretty human stories that have a lot of themes that are relatable. Things like I find the character of Joy in Blade Runner 2049 fascinating.
Yeah.
And like everything about that and how much it says about like loneliness today. Like
Yeah.
it's such a commentary on the fact that like, like guys, like especially, young men today will just like be inside and like only like they'll
only interact with their computer.
And like Joy is literally the personification of like, she's an artificial representation of human interaction and intimacy.
Yeah.
That like most young men today like only purely get from the machines around them and like have every like need they want just carried out by their machines, but it's not real.
Yeah.
And
but it's real to them.
Yeah. And it's something that I've experienced, something that a lot of my friends have experienced.
Yeah.
And with like Arrival just is a whole ass commentary on just how we need to fucking communicate with each other.
Language and
and about how like communication really is the key to like solving everything wrong with society and all that shit. There isn't anything in Dune for me really that like I can connect to on that level.
Yeah.
That I like really care about.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. As far as my personal sci-fi taste, I think the closer it is to our lives normally, the more bored I am with the concept.
Interesting.
If it's just like modern life, but your phone has a personality, like that's a bad example because I really like Her. If it, you know what I mean though, like Black Mirror and stuff like that. I just think it's I think the more out there sci-fi is, the more interested I am.
Mm-hmm.
Just like from a personal perspective, I think it's a waste to like hem a sci-fi concept into like our lives.
Yeah.
But I do agree that like Dune isn't exactly relatable. It's more like a story of like mythology of like a classical like Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
To where like all the characters are really big and they know their destiny and they like all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Greek legends or like the fucking monolith.
Yeah. And if you're into that, then, good for that. That's a lot of fantasy literature.
Yeah.
Has that exact same tone.
Yeah. I hated all those fucking books. I in high school, when we were reading the Odyssey, I asked if there was a graphic novel of the Odyssey in the school library, and I'm like, can I read this instead? It was a lot easier for me
this
to get
one has
through.
pictures.
Yeah. I could see Homer shooting the fucking shit through the shit.
Eating
Or
a
not,
donut.
not Homer. What's it? Odysseus is the guy.
Homer's the guy who wrote it.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. When it comes to like serious heady shit, I'll play God of War, I guess. I like those things as video games. Those
Yeah.
are cool.
I don't know.
You know what? That's probably a big part of why. This is probably making me think. I bet you'd really, really. We should watch Seven Samurai, and I think you'd really like Seven Samurai because that's something that has been making it really hard for me to get through about it. And that because Seven Samurai is a very serious, like heady, kind of like movie dealing with like a lot of heavy themes and like Japanese history and like honor.
I really like dig that stuff. Yeah. I don't. Like I was thoroughly entertained by Dune 1984. That said, I personally like the new ones better because I was able to take the story more seriously. And to me, that's big. I like to be able to just fully immerse into a world and take the movie as seriously as the movie is taking itself. Whereas this movie, I was entertained, but half of that was just laughing at the movie and how absurd it was.
And how the Harkonnen man is just yelling.
How he's basically the jokester.
Yeah. He's basically Fat Joker pretty much in this movie.
He was, yeah. The colors were the same. It's bright orange hair and everyone's like all super sinister. But yeah, no, I would love to watch that. It's I like
cackling, laughing.
Yeah, I like when a movie is confident enough in itself to like, and that's a different kind of confidence, but I like when a movie is confident enough to take itself really seriously and expect you to as well. But I mean, like being able making decisions that strong is a whole different kind of confidence. Yeah.
I you know, that we're talking about, I don't even necessarily think that it's a vibrating. I don't even necessarily think that it's like serious. It's like, I don't know, it really does come down to the source material, because there's other things that I think are taken pretty seriously, but the art in it and the style just take me to another place with it. Like, have you ever seen Mandy with Nicolas Cage?
No.
Yeah, that's a movie that's pretty damn serious, but it's just got so much style, and it's just presented in such an interesting way that I'm just like.
No, I will say the production design in both of these are about on the same par with each other.
Yeah, especially for the times that they came out.
Yeah, exactly. Like if we're putting them in the context, like obviously I like the new one better because this is the time that I live in. But like they're both pretty timeless, fairly. Like
all the worm effects in both movies, like the worm effects in the '80s one, I always forget how actually good they are.
They are great. But like just talking about like the set design and the costumes and everything, like nothing feels particularly 1984. It all feels suitably like alien and strange, and like equally like familiar. It's the same as the new one where like you can see a direct analog to something in real life, and you can imagine how this like must feel to be like how this door must feel like. You know, it feels very tactile and it doesn't feel dated at all. And that's something I was expecting everything in this movie to be super cheesy looking, but no, it's very timeless.
When it really comes down to it, the cheesiness things are certain effects that are like things where it's just like not technically possible to do.
Yeah,
like riding the worm.
Yeah, the effects themselves, those have dated kind of poorly.
Versus like some of the things, the main effect that works really well is like some of the scenes where you do get the worms, and it's pretty cool how they did it. Like, so the scenes where you see the worms in the sand and like they're coming up and like doing stuff, they feel really big because one, I think it's a really good puppet, and a really good design.
Yeah, those scenes look great.
And the other one is the fact that they used
glass dust,
like really, really fine
for the miniatures, right?
Glass for the miniatures, because it's like, I think it's like 8 times smaller than grains of sand or something like that.
It looks fantastic.
Yeah, and
it's like just as heavy, right? So it falls at like a similar rate.
Well, no, they filmed all those scenes, I believe, at a super high frame rate.
Yeah,
and then
it down.
Yeah, to make the dust look like it was falling much slower.
Yeah, no, it looks great, except for when he's getting on top of the sandworm.
Except when there are people on it, and except when it's interacting with stuff. But yeah, no, it does look really cool, and there you can definitely see the.
I like both of the designs of the sandworms. I do think that the new design is more interesting because they made like a distinctive choice to have their mouths like have these like really long teeth to where they look like irises and pupils contracting just to like match like the eye tone, the eye theme. I think that's really smart.
Yeah,
that's just something I appreciate.
I think they look like a butt. I see.
The new ones the old ones look like a butt too.
Well, no, I mean, I like the three kind of beaks that open up and like the kind of it's like opens up like a flower, like Dr. Octopus's arms or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know?
And they're like sort of hydrodynamic or whatever.
Yeah, for me, I prefer the design of the old Dune, but that's just a difference in taste. Yeah. And it was cool because in this time I'm like, oh yeah, the worms and Tremors definitely.
Yeah, extremely look a lot like these.
Yeah, there's a lot of in the Tremors letterboxd reviews. There's a lot of fucking Dune references.
Dune shit talkers.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So fucking Ridley Scott's Dune would have been interesting.
Yeah.
So I keep saying Guillermo del Toro for my Dune.
I just want a Guillermo del Toro Hobbit. I don't really care about Dune anymore.
Yeah, del Toro's Hobbit would be sick.
That never happened. That was gonna happen, but it never did.
Is there a filmmaker for you who could make a Dune movie that you would be interested that like you think would
honestly my top pick would have been Denis Villeneuve. Always, I think. I think he would have always been my top choice.
What do you think Christopher Nolan's Dune would have been like?
Probably pretty boring.
There was for a while it's probably can't a lot of things with Disney are crazy, but for a while Christopher Nolan was supposed to direct a Star Wars The Old Republic trilogy.
Yeesh.
That would have been
I don't know.
Bad.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm honestly so burnt out on Star Wars anyway.
Yeah.
Man, if you listen to me, if you only knew me through this podcast, you just think I was tired of fucking everything, and you'd be right. End it all.
Yeah. I'm tired of the things they're doing with Star Wars now, for sure. The last Ahsoka didn't impress me. I watched all the best scenes in Ahsoka on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then Mando season 3 was a big letdown for me.
I got halfway through Mandalorian season 2, and I was like, I never want to watch another Star Wars thing again. I'm done. It's not even that it was bad. It's just that I'm just like, man, I'm okay. Like, Luke Skywalker's back. It's like, wow, really small galaxy, I guess.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we do just kind of want new shit, huh?
It's incredibly, that's all I want. That's all I want. I just want new movies.
I'm going to look back at, what's the best? I'm looking at my Letterboxd people. If you want to follow me, I'm LC Hines.
LC Hines.
On Letterboxd. These are the most recent. Love Lies Bleeding was really good, but that's not like a franchise.
I don't want it to be a franchise.
It's an original. No One Can Save You was pretty cool, though. That was like one that harkened back. Have I talked to you about No One Can Save You? Will Save You?
You might have.
It is our first episode on this podcast. Is me and Courtney reviewing No One Will Save You. It's semi-inspired, and it's just like a really simple movie about this girl who like lives in this big house in the middle of nowhere, and aliens invade the house, and she has to try to survive.
Cool.
They're aliens, and it's pretty sick.
Sounds cool.
As far as new franchises,
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, when are we gonna get Killers 2?
That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just I think. I feel like we've been saying for the past 10 years that we have superhero fatigue and like franchise fatigue, and yet they just keep coming out and they keep making money. So who knows? Yeah. Maybe we'll just do this forever.
Yeah, we'll see how James Gunn does with the new DC movies.
I guess
Superman Legacy is filming in Cleveland.
I kind of just want to like place a ban on superhero movies for like 10 years and see what happens after that 10 years.
Just give it a break.
Yeah, I'm just good. We don't need another Batman movie. We don't need another Joker movie.
We're gonna get Avatar 3 at some point in another 10 years, probably.
Can I? The last movie I saw in the theater was a sequel to Dune 2, which is a franchise that's 60 years old. It's never gonna end. It's okay though.
Can we talk a little bit about the shields in the original Dune?
Yes. Oh man, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
That you said these scenes were like impossible to work with.
So apparently David Lynch, in the Dune universe, people who don't know, they have basically
really shitty shields.
They have shitty shields that they protect from high velocity objects. So like you can't. That's why people still use like swords and knives and shit in the Dune universe, because these shields protect you from fast moving.
Feels like it's
objects.
10,000. I think we could have maybe made a better shield by now.
Yeah, it's the year 10,000. You could
or maybe
do better.
people would just be walking around with armor, because that would work better than these shields.
Yeah. So like people can't see it, so that's why people.
If we're just using swords.
Yeah. And the whole thing is like swords. If you get in close enough and slowly move in a blade, then you can kill somebody.
Why don't people just wear armor?
I don't know.
A shield and armor, you'd literally be unstoppable. You can't pierce armor with a slow blade.
That actually reminds me. That makes me realize something. It's fucking. There are a lot of concepts and ideas in Dune that I realize that are just not present in David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah.
That are pretty big parts of like the other adaptations. So with the shields, actually, they don't use the shields on Arrakis because the shields attract the like if you.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that in the new ones.
Yeah, they attract the worms, so that's why the Fremen are able to use projectile weapons. Is because like they can't use their shields because it'll attract worms. There's a lot of other things. Another thing that is a pretty huge thing in one of my favorite things about Denis Dune, because I like how they adapted it. The whole idea that the Bene Gesserit have been planting the seeds of like Paul being the Messiah to the Fremen for thousands of years, like it's a set up religion thing, whereas in 84 Dune it's they don't have any of that at all. He kind of just like literally is the chosen one. Yeah. And it's like literally a prophecy. Like it's not something that we're told or shown is like been something that's been planned.
In the new one? In the 80s one. In the
80s one it's not shown.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas in the
new one it's very like
it's made very clear.
It's like he's the chosen one, but that was all manufactured by that's all made very clear.
Yeah, Lady Jessica, when they get down the planet, it's like, Paul, like the planet's been primed for you. And overall there's in both versions, like something from the book that it's kind of insinuated in the new movies, but something in the book that they make very clear is that Arrakis and the Fremen are literally a multi-century long training ground to make the best soldiers in the universe.
Army, like an army for one person to lead.
It is purposefully like just a training ground for the Kwisatz Haderach's fucking.
It's pretty upsetting.
Yeah, which it's
a cool concept.
It is a cool concept, and that's the one thing is like a lot of the larger sci-fi ideas are cooler than like the actual story that's present in the book,
I think that's my thing about Dune. I think that's what I was saying earlier. It's like I just don't really care about the story, but the sci-fi is cool.
Yeah. I will say that the world is way more interesting than like anything.
I just want to think about like the world that it's set in, but the story itself, Paul's not interesting to me in any of these versions. Anyway, the shield scene with Patrick Stewart and the guy from Twin Peaks who looks 40 years old and supposed to be 14.
Kyle MacLachlan. Yeah. The shield, so they activate the shields, and they're these like big blocky they look like the robot
like Minecraft men.
They look like the robots from Interstellar.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They're like big blocky things, and this effect. So David Lynch apparently saw Tron like the year or two before, and Tron was the first movie with actual CGI, really. Yeah. And David Lynch was like, "I want that.
I want real 3D CGI." And his effects team was like, "We can't do that."
So they had to hand animate these shields, and like with the kind of like visual diffusion effect, had to like take
sort of
every clip.
Cubes in perspective in relation to the camera, and it almost looks right.
Like it looks,
and you said each panel is its own like
base.
Because it's distorted. They're all distorted because the shields like distort the image behind it.
Yeah, they had to basically take each individual frame and like separate it on their own plate.
And it looks like frame. No other effect I've ever seen in a movie ever.
Yeah, no, it's insane looking.
It's crazy looking.
But it took that fight scene by itself took 9 months to finish. into anime.
Can you imagine having to look at that scene every day for 9 months to draw stupid ass cubes on it?
Yeah.
Those poor guys. For a movie that ended up bombing.
Bombing hard. Yeah, they definitely didn't get paid enough.
Yeah.
They definitely were stressed about making the deadline.
God bless you, whatever your names are.
Yep, you animators and visual effects teams.
God bless you.
But yeah, no, they do look cool. I think
crazy looking.
Yeah, whereas in the new Dune it's just kind of like a red and blue shimmer.
Yeah, it kind of appears when it needs to and disappears otherwise.
I think that's another thing too. It's just the new ones just aren't fantastical enough for me. Like
they're more grounded for sure.
They are super grounded, and like even with Denis' other movies, like Blade Runner and Arrival, which we just keep going back to those two. Like there's a lot of things in it that just feel like just so more otherworldly to me.
See, that's what I think I like about Denis Villeneuve. I think because like even Blade Runner, it's technology that you can like look at and you can think about for a second. You can kind of imagine how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in 84 Dune and in the book, it's just kind of like, yeah, this stuff floats.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this thing thumps. Like whereas like in the new movies, like you can see the thing thumping on itself. Like you can, it feels like it's real and it's like in front of you. And I think that's the thing. That's the same thing with Blade Runner. Not so much Arrival because it's alien technology, but he has such a knack for tech that makes you go like, oh, that's cool, rather than just like, whoa. It's more like, oh, that's creative. That's like that's clever to like. That's how that would look and function. I don't know. That's something I appreciate.
Yeah. Dune.
How many times have we said Dune?
What's the Dune counter at?
Can we get the Dune count on that?
I love the part in Dune Part 2 where like when Timothée Chalamet has his whole like speech about he's talking to all of the Fremen about how he's the chosen one, he's this, and he comes up to that. He goes to that one Fremen dude, and he's like, "I know your dreams, bitch." He's like, when this planet was known by another name, Dune. Yeah. And there's a little pause for the audience to be like, "Whoa,
dude!" Literally, for me, that was my first exposure of knowing that the planet was also called Dune.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they don't explain it in
so
the first one.
Yeah, that was a revelation for me. I turned over and I was like, "Whoa! It's called Dune. That's the name of the book."
Oh my god!
That's why it's called that. That's less cool. I kind of wish it was just called. We kind of wish the story was just called Dune because it takes place in the desert. But
if the planet was just called Dune,
yeah, or just call the story Dune, and it doesn't even like enter into it.
I saw a TikTok that was saying that there was a fan theory that Arrakis is Earth in the future. Like it's the planet's been destroyed, and basically spice is just the result of us destroying each other with atomics, with like nukes.
Makes about as much sense as anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never going to know because I'm never going to look it up or read the books.
I'll tell you
But I'm still curious about like...
I will tell you about all the weird shit that happens in the books as I read them.
Exactly. Please do, because like I don't have no idea like what the worms even are and how they relate to spice or why spice does that to our brains or like
I said, if you take enough spice, eventually you turn into a worm. So
even just like, well, yeah, okay, but like... I was talking. It was like these sandworms as like a biological concept make no sense. Like what do they eat? Sand?
Oh shit, that's a good point.
Like these are giant animals. How much would they have to eat? Like, do they just like eat whatever walks on the surface and over them? And if that's the case, then like, how does any animal live here at all?
The only other animal that we see in the movies
mouse.
is the little mouse, and the worms ain't surviving on them mouse.
Exactly. Where are they getting all their calories?
That's a good question.
Is it spice?
I don't know.
How do they grow so damn big?
It's a good question.
And also, why don't the spice harvesters just fly on their own? Why do they need something to come pick them up?
Why is it in two pieces?
Why don't they just float?
Yeah, because a lot of other things float pretty easily.
Explain that, Frank.
Like the Baron.
Explain that, Herbert.
Yeah. Have we talked about the super cool infrared scene in Dune Part 2?
No, please tell me about that, because I really like that scene. I think it's a really cool scene, but you said is it shot with infrared cameras?
It's like, yeah, so it's...
I think that's my favorite scene in both movies, just because of how it looks.
If I remember correctly, when I was reading how they did it, it was basically like...
It's the Harkonnens on their home world, and it's pretty much just all black and white.
Yeah, they had infrared...
Really high contrast.
They had infrared lights shooting the scene, and I'm going to make sure I'm not... And basically they had two cameras, one that was shooting like in infrared and one... Dune Part 2. And one that was shooting like regular, like just next to each other. And when they moved from on into the arena under the black sun, it like faded from color. Because I remember watching the movie how like naturally it faded from going into color. And I want to make sure Dune Part 2.
That's incredible. No, but that scene looks like nothing I've ever seen. Like
infrared scene. Yeah, no,
because all the Harkonnens are so pale and all the architecture is so black and white, literally. So
the contrast is just so high.
Yeah, it boosts the contrast and turns it black and white. You know what? We did that one black and white episode. Now everyone wants to do black and white shit.
Everybody.
You're welcome, world, for telling you how cool black and white is.
Fraser was no stranger to using infrared lighting.
I remember that in the show.
Was there an infrared scene in Rogue One?
I don't know.
Was that maybe the Darth Vader scene?
Fraser joke.
Wanted to give it a monochromatic world.
He's like, Niles, I'm going to use infrared lighting.
Let's see. They used an Alexa LF camera that had been modified to be an infrared camera, which meant all the camera would see infrared, and that would become their world.
Sick.
Yeah.
No, it's a really cool looking scene. It's my favorite scene.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, just in terms of like the fucking Austin Butler is the only goddamn character in the new movie that seems to be having fun to me. Like he's without a doubt the only one for me who like is really,
I don't know,
like
Baron Harkonnen's having a good time.
Stellan,
he's not dancing around going crazy, but he's enjoying being evil.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been I like Stellan Skarsgård, but I don't think there was any performance of his that's super. He was really good. Did you see Chernobyl?
Not yet.
Yeah, sure. He was really good in Chernobyl. He was pretty good in the Nymphomaniac movies.
I mean, Javier Bardem.
Oh yeah, Stilgar's great. Love.
He's
Stilgar. Great.
No, I mean like that. His performance is just perfect.
Yeah.
As like this like vaguely like threatening, but still like
he's a homie. He's the he's the hype man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Everyone like anytime that Paul is like, I am not the Lisan Agaib, and then he's just like, that means that he is Lisan Agaib.
He's being so humble. That means he must really be him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Just yeah. No, the new one is a good look at just like, you know, why I'm. How do I say this delicately? The dangers of religion, I should say.
Yeah.
And
well, no, that's the whole. What's like a whole theme of the movie. Yeah. Is like religion being, or of the book is like religion being used to control people.
Yeah, and I know that the books are going to. No, I don't know the exact ending of Dune. Like I know certain specific things about like what happens to certain characters. There, and another reason I do wanna read the next two books before I watch the BBC miniseries. Yeah, because the miniseries covers.
Yeah, let me know how that is because I'm never ever watching it.
I'll show you the best scenes. After. Because
you'll send me nothing.
The miniseries is actually interesting. It's the first three books, so it's Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune.
Ambitious.
And
holy shit, that must be a fucking slog.
A young James McAvoy. Plays Paul's son, Leto Atreides II.
Oh god.
Who he specifically is like one of the first characters we see who transforms into a sandworm. I know
Hell yeah.
for sure.
All right.
So it's gonna be lit.
I bet it's not gonna be that cool. I bet they're gonna. That sounds cool, but it's also I saw that trailer just now.
Let's see. Yeah, no, everything didn't have any sauce.
Yeah, I don't have any hopes for that.
What's like? I'm curious what the.
It looked like It looked like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It did. One second. What's Dune 2000? I just like the name Dune 2000.
Dune 2000.
Some new age bullshit. Godzilla 2000.
Yeah.
One
Yeah, it's like a reimagining of Dune to take place in our time.
Yeah. Whoa, wait, hold on.
Can you imagine that?
I think we just stumbled on something amazing. Dune 2000 is a real-time strategy game developed by Intelligent Games by Westwood Studios. Look at this shit.
Oh, yeah. Not even like...
I was just trying to find...
Hell yeah, Dune 2000.
The story of the game is similar to Dune 2 and is continued in Emperor Battle for Dune.
Ooh.
How many Dune video games are there? Hold up.
I wouldn't be surprised. Nerd shit begets nerd shit.
Indeed. This article is about the video game. Player commands one of the three houses and must fight control. So you can either be...
It's called Dune 2000. Why is it called that? Because it came out in 2000.
That title has the spice. Let me tell you. Okay, Frank Herbert's Dune.
Because it couldn't see the future.
There's the poster for Frank Herbert's Dune. We're
Cool.
looking on Wikipedia. William Hurt. I like the way their eyes look in this.
I guess.
I'm excited to watch this. I also know.
Let me know what you think.
Yeah, it appeared.
And I'll have no idea what to think.
It was released on the Sci-Fi Channel. There's an extended director's cut of this miniseries.
Oh my god! You know it doesn't do it justice at all.
Reception. The first installment achieved a 4.6 rating with 3 million homes. Is that out of 5 or out of 10? Two
Probably
of the three installments are rated amongst the year's top 10 original cable movies. As of 2007, the Dune miniseries. Okay, wait a minute.
Could be good.
So the
doesn't look good.
2 of the 3. Oh, I see. So this first miniseries, how many episodes is it?
1.
3-part mini. So this first miniseries is 3 episodes, and then they did the sequel series is an adaptation of the next 2 books.
Okay.
That's weird. Hold up, I gotta find. It's called. Is it called Children of Dune or is it called Dune Messiah? I'm trying to find it. Fucking sequel series. Frank Herbert's. Yeah, so the sequel series is called Frank Herbert's Children, and there's James McAvoy.
He's doing DreamWorks face.
He is.
He's raising one eyebrow.
Came out 3 years.
And he's
later.
like, "Oh, Dune, huh? I will be in a M. Night Shyamalan movie that looks good, but is actually a commercial for more movies."
Yeah.
What could I be talking about?
It's gonna be real good. Anywho, so what prop? Pick a prop from 80s Dune and a prop from New Dune.
Oh man, 80s Dune. I want the tooth extractor from 80s Dune.
That just popped it out.
It ripped out the dude's tooth. Look that one up. And from New Dune, I want the big sandworm, not like the baby sandworm from like the little pit that the lady pulls out and drowns.
You want that?
Yeah, it's like a boa. It looks cool. It looks like you could just fling it over your head.
Do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want the prop or do you want one as a pet?
I'd take either, as long as I'm furnished with like a sand room for it to roam around in.
That's fair. As long as you have like a nice little.
It's like a goldfish. If it doesn't get it like in the desert, it stays the same size.
You have to sprinkle some spice
Yeah,
on it
yeah.
every day. That's a good one. From 80s Dune, I want the Gom Jabbar box. I want the box of pain.
Yeah, from the 80s Dune. Like
the 80s Dune.
The cube box.
Yeah, the little green box. By the way, I think I like that scene in the 80s Dune more. I like seeing his hand get all fucked up.
That happens in the new one.
No, you don't see it, bro.
You see his hand burn.
You don't
see his charred up hand. I guarantee you. Yep.
We'll fact check it next episode.
You fact check, dude.
Well, we can fact check right now. Hold on.
You see his charred hand with fire behind it. I did not make that up.
You did rewatch it recently, so
Yep.
I guess I believe the Gom Jabbar test. Timothy Chalamet.
Look that up, Jamie. Verify me.
bring that up, Jamie. Let's see. The Gom Jabbar scene. Another ad for Old Spice.
You take the box, and okay, let's see.
1 second.
Let's see how right I am. Let's see if I'm high.
It's so crazy seeing this after watching the 80s Dune.
It's like toward the end of the test.
She has like a little fingernail thing in the
Yeah.
towards the end of the test. You say?
I think so.
Because I rewatched
Keep
this
it going.
scene recently too. We're watching Timmy's. He looks like he's got to take a shit.
He's gonna cry.
We're watching on Dune 2021 4K Ultra HD Gom Jabbar scene.
He's crying. See his mother crying.
His mom's crying. Fear is the mind killer.
Everybody's crying.
I find myself saying fear is the mind killer a lot lately.
It's a really good saying.
I will say this. This franchise is very quotable.
Yes, and it has been forever.
Yeah.
People quote it all the time.
He who controls the spice controls the universe. Oh, we also didn't mention that we're drinking. The fuck are we drinking? We're drinking Yogi Honey Chai Turmeric Vitality Tea. Was that a hand or was that just fire?
It shows it again.
Hold up. Was that a hand or was that just fire? I rewound it a little bit. Let's see. Timmy's shaking fire.
That was fire.
Yeah, but there's no hand.
You see his hand. I swear it. I did not make it up.
He's doing it. I think
we might have skipped it, but I don't know.
he passed the test.
There's
his hand.
That's
but
a hand. Hold on.
But we don't see
He's
it on
seeing
fire.
a vision.
He's seeing a vision on fire.
He's staring her down.
He's staring her
God,
down.
this scene is long.
He's trying to take a shit.
He's pooping his pants.
It looks like he's gonna poop his pants.
Aha!
Oh, yep.
Yes.
There you go. You're right. You're right.
I was so fucking. I almost got gaslit there for a second.
That's like icky girl was. I still want the OG Gom Jabbar box.
Yeah.
And then in the new Dune, fuck, what do I want? There's lots of things.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
Ooh, I know. I want a thumper from the new Dune.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
I do like the little handheld thumper. I don't like the big sticks. The little one.
They're little ones that you can carry around in a bag.
Yeah, you can
make sense.
clip them to your belt.
Yep.
You know, yeah, definitely. I want a thumper.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
Yeah. And that's this on
Dune v Dune.
On Dune v Dune.
The show Dune.
The Dunening. Yeah, no, what should we talk about next as far as like things this is a good one.
Oh man, we should watch Jackie Chan movies. Let's watch Police Stories 1 and 2. This is my idea, by the way.
Oh yeah.
For the next episode that comes out
week,
after this, we should watch Jackie Chan movies.
Police Story 1 and 2. Yes, we should.
That's my idea for next episode.
That would be an excellent idea. I don't know. We have to watch. Let's watch Bronson this week.
Hell yeah!
I'll come over and watch Bronson.
Dream come true.
And we'll Bronson it up.
All
right.
Hell yeah!
Have a nice night, everybody.
Love you. Bye.
It's been Midnight Movie Gang, and it is. Oh shit! It's midnight.
12 noon.
It says midnight on my iPad, but midnight 01 on my laptop.
We'll call it midnight.
Wow, this is Midnight Movie Gang at midnight.
Midnight.
Good night.
So, here we go. With childish frustrations and complexes which the police are searching for James Thomas, believed to be the lover of Dave Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Grant everybody that I'm here to hold on. Oh, please tell me where they've gone. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How could I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent.